Hi, this is my first time doing this style of video, but I just finished Percy Jackson Season 2, and I would like to give my thoughts on it. I haven't watched really any other people's videos of thoughts on it, if they have them, but these were things I was basically thinking the entire time I was watching it, and I guess I just need to get it out there to someone. So that's what we're gonna do. I have Heloise with me, and I just wrote down some bullet points of my thoughts on the series as a whole, and we are going to get into them, discuss them a little bit, and that's pretty much it. I hope it won't be too long of a video. I don't have the storage for a long enough video to upload it, so I'm gonna try to keep it pretty short. So first bullet point. I'm gonna try not to compare it to the books too much, because one, I haven't read Sea of Monsters in a while, like at least a couple years, so I don't really remember enough about the book to compare it to the book, and I'd like to judge this as a season on its own merits. And two, I find that this series is you need to read the books to understand what's happening, which I'm kind of neutral on, because I know most people watching the show have probably read the books, but I don't really know how I feel about that. But I thought it'd probably be good to go into it as someone who doesn't remember much of the book in general, to see what it'd be like from the perspective of someone who doesn't know what happens in the book, at least mostly. So just making that clear. So my first point is that the entire show is very darkly lit, if that makes sense. Like, even in scenes that are supposed to have daylight in them, the entire scene has very dark lighting. If you've watched the show, you'll probably know what I'm talking about, but I downloaded it from Disney Plus and was watching it while I was camping, and I noticed anytime I was not in a room that you'd typically be in while watching something, like if I was outside or something, even if it wasn't sunny, I couldn't see a single thing. Even when I was inside, sometimes I could barely see the scene, because everything is so darkly lit in the show. I've noticed this with season 1 too. Seriously, even when it's daylight out, it's still, everything is dark, and I don't really like that everything is dark. Get a little bit of light in here. They could have done so much interesting stuff with the lighting, and I just feel like every single scene is just darkness, and I don't think we need every single scene to be darkness. We could, play around with the lighting a bit. So I think that's something they really need to improve on, because I can barely see anyone in the scenes. It's kind of ridiculous in my opinion. But yeah, that's my first point. The entire show is very darkly lit. It's not just a few scenes. And the third point is, I don't know what they use for the Cyclopses, both Tyson and Polyphemus, mostly Polyphemus, but I noticed that when they're talking and blinking, their faces look very weird, because I know they had to use some effects because they're Cyclopses, and those aren't usually actors. Actors aren't usually naturally Cyclopses. But I noticed, especially when Polyphemus is talking, sometimes his mouth doesn't really move with the words that he's saying, and it's really distracting and kind of jarring, because you'd expect a mouth to move like my mouth is moving with the speech, but sometimes he'll kind of say something and his mouth won't really move that much, or his mouth won't move with the words, or the blinking is kind of weird. I noticed that with Tyson too, but not as much. So I don't know why that is, but it really takes me out of the show when I see a Cyclops and their face is just not doing what you'd expect a face to do. Yeah, that's just something I was noticing a lot during the show. So, fourth point, the Golden Fleece doesn't look very magical. Like, it's supposed to be this very powerful, magical thing, and I don't know, to me it kind of looks like a weirdly shaped rug that you get from, like, Walmart or something. I don't know if that's just me, because I'm very nitpicky about, like, super powerful or rare expensive things in TV shows, but I always imagine the Golden Fleece to be kind of delicate in a way. I know I don't have the best imagination when it comes to books, but I imagine it to be kind of like a delicately woven thing, and it's just like this big, chunky, rug-looking thing. Like, if I every time I saw it on screen, I felt like if you flipped it over, it'd be like that rug tarp stuff on the bottom of it. It did not look very magical to me. You just it looked like dark yellow with just some sparkles added in. It didn't look very magical to me. Maybe it's just my issues, but I don't know. It didn't look very magical, very golden, for lack of a better term. It just, I don't know. I don't know. It's probably just a me thing. And this last point isn't really, like, a super heavy criticism, but I noticed there wasn't as much focus on Rainbow as I felt like there was in the books. Because, I did take this with a grain of salt. I did read the books multiple years ago, so I haven't read them recently enough to say definitively, but I feel like there was much more focus on Rainbow in the books than in the show, and obviously they have less time in the show to do that, but I don't know, it felt like he was a pretty decent part of the books, and they just didn't spend a lot of time on it. Same thing with Blackjack. They barely had Blackjack in the show at all, and I feel like he was a pretty decent part of the books too. So those, I guess they are kind of like more criticisms. They really didn't focus on them a lot. So that kind of irritated me. So I'm out of bullet points now, so I'm just gonna be, like, talking about general stuff. I think I like the show in general, but it just felt like there was a lot left out of it. You know, with Blackjack and Rainbow and stuff like we just went over, but I don't know about it. And since I don't remember a lot, I just felt like there was a lot missing that we should have maybe known. And also, again, take everything I say about the books with a grain of salt. But from what I remember in the books, the thing about Zeus saving Thalia from dying in an act of mercy was what happened. I'm pretty sure that was what happened in the books, like the actual truth. I'm sorry, you probably need to watch the show to know what I'm talking about. But if you know what I'm talking about, I'm pretty sure that was the actual truth in the books. So it was a bit unnerving to me to see it that, like, no, she just didn't want to be controlled by him, or what they said. I feel like that was a change they made for the show. I don't think that was originally like that in the books, but correct me if I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'm super wrong about that, and it was always like that, and I missed it. But I haven't read the books in a while, so I wouldn't know. Yeah. I think there's a lot they could improve on for future seasons. A lot, especially with the Cyclops rendering and stuff, because if they look like that for some pretty decently main characters in season 2, I don't know if it'd be any better for different types of monsters and mythological creatures. And I want this show to be good. I want them to make a good show based off of my favorite books. no, yeah, it is based off of the books. I'm going into the script list, so I'm just kind of saying whatever words come to mind. But I want them to make a good show. I'd love to watch it if it's a good show. But with season 2 and season 1, I've just felt a little bit let down by it. I was very excited for both season 1 and season 2, and it took me a while to get around to watching season 2. And I just felt kind of disappointed in a way with everything. So I hope they take criticism and they fix it. Obviously, this video is probably not going to be what convinces them to change or do things different. Sorry, my camera cut off. But maybe if we, start talking about it more, it will get them to make changes in what they make. Especially with the lighting thing. The lighting thing is the most annoying to me. I don't like the lighting they do in that show. But that's pretty much it for me, considering the show. I hope you have a good day, night, afternoon, middle of the night, whatever. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye. The light next to me has kind of been blinding me this entire time, because to get it to really show up good on camera, it needs to be like right next to me. And sometimes it'll like reflect and get in my eyes, but it's fine.